Got it. All right. And we are live. Hello, everyone. Andy here, and welcome to the EPWEP Zone. That is where we're at right now. I am going to give this stream a minute or two just to make sure that everything is going well. I want to make sure that we're actually live here. Andy will be showcasing the Epic Weapon Remix in Minecraft 1.12. That is true. I just want to get confirmation that we are live here. We're joined here today by my wonderful kitty Tomago. She may be walking in front, and so if I just stop typing randomly and start petting something in front of me, that is why. Everything looks good to me. Awesome, so let's go ahead and get started here. So, for anybody who has absolutely no idea what's going on, I'm Andy, and I work for CodaKid, which is this company right here. It's also the YouTube channel that you're on. But here at CodaKid, we make video tutorials on programming. So how to make video games, mods, apps, all of that awesome stuff, including Minecraft mods, which is what I have in front of me right now. So this is actually one of the mods that we teach how to make. I'm not actually the teacher for this class. This is Austin's mod. And let me actually show you what we're starting out with here. So we have these three epic weapons. We have Mjolnir, which I feel like I'm going to be saying wrong the whole time, but we're not going to worry about it. Mjolnir is the Thunder Hammer, so this is just going to summon some lightning bolts and also make an explosion at the spot where you cast it at. And we've also got the Super Hot Fire, which is the lava launcher. This launches streams of lava, which I love playing with and making these like lava roller coaster shapes. And we have the Creature Cannon, which shoots creatures. It can actually shoot the creature of your choice. So right now we're shooting cows. And every time I right click, this is going to launch 10 cows forward in front of me. So what we're actually going to be doing today is I'm going to be remixing this mod. So I'm actually going to be opening Austin's code and just messing with it, making some fun changes, and we're gonna make some pretty cool stuff. We are gonna make the TNT Rainmaker and the World Breaker out of this code. So that also means that if you've actually taken the Epic Weapons course, you can open up your Epic Weapons code and copy the code that I write here to test it out for yourself. But also, if you've never taken a CodaKid course, I'm still going to be showing you some fun ways that you can mess around with your code, and we're also just going to be making a whole bunch of explosions. So it should be a pretty fun time. So if we're good to go, let's just jump right into it here. Also, I do have the live chat open, but I'm not going to be able to check it a whole bunch. Oh, the video is definitely going to be available to re-watch. I definitely want to leave this up so you can follow along later. So you may want to just watch for fun now that we're live. So anyway, let me actually get started here. I'm going to close my Minecraft window. And right here is the code that made all of that stuff happen that you were just looking at. So right now I have the Thunder Hammer code open, and again, this is the code that Austin wrote. So like I said, this is the code for the Thunder Hammer, and I just want to talk about this real quick. We have this code here where it says on item right click, so the on item right click method, and all of this stuff happens when you right click when you're holding the Thunder Hammer. So this is the code that makes it so that all of those lightning bolts appear. We have all of these lines where we spawn entity lightning bolt, so in other words, make a lightning bolt, and these all happen at the block hit X, Y, and Z, which block hit is from this line right up here. So long story short, we find the block that we're looking at, and then we summon a bunch of lightning bolts right there. So the very first thing that I want to do in this stream is change up this code a little bit so that instead of just spawning a bunch of lightning bolts right at that spot where we click at, we just spawn a bunch of some other creatures. So I'm actually going to start out with cows. Now, the very first thing that I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to comment some of this code that's here in our Thunderhammer. So I'm just going to put a / at the beginning of some of these lines. This is just going to make it so that the computer skips these lines. So now that I just added these slashes, we're just not going to spawn any lightning bolts or make any explosion. So this actually just made the Thunderhammer really boring. Now it doesn't do anything, but the next thing I want to do is make it actually spawn cows, and I actually want to copy a little bit of the code from the cow gun. So I'm going to head over to cowgun.java, and now I'm just going to copy pretty much all of the code inside of the cow gun on item right click method. So we're just going to start out by grabbing this chunk right here. So just everything besides this return line. So I'm just going to Control C, and that's going to copy this code. Then if I click back over to my Thunderhammer, and we'll just make some space and Control V, that's going to paste the code. And now I want to talk a little bit more about this code that I just copied. So first of all, we have this random line, and this is our random number generator. We'll use that a little bit later. Then we come down here, this if not world end is remote isn't too important, but we do actually need this to be spawning stuff. But this is the really exciting code here. We have this code which actually spawns our new cow, which is named new cow. And then we have some of this other code that actually launches the cow. So this X, Y, and Z picks the direction for our cow to shoot in. But I don't actually want to shoot this cow. I want to summon a cow right where we're looking. So first of all, I'm going to comment these lines that set the motion of our cow. And there's one other thing I want to do, because right now, when we spawn our new cow, we spawn that right at our player's position. And since I'm trying to put this in our Thunderhammer code, I want to just use the position that we're looking at. And we actually have that right up here. This is our block hit. So if I come in here and change this code to just use block hit.x, block hit.y, and block hit.z, this will make it so that our new cow spawns right on top of the block that we're looking at. So I am going to run this code now and spawn some cows. Let me just click my run button, and we'll give that a minute to load. And let me check my live stream here now that we're actually loading the game. Oh yeah, it's all going smooth. So the other thing I want to mention while we're loading this game is this cow spawning code is inside of a for loop. So this is actually going to happen 10 times, meaning that we're actually going to get 10 cows every time I right click with my Thunderhammer. So let me open this up, and we're going to get cowie. We're going to put down a whole bunch of cows and see what happens. Now, the cool thing is, I'll give you a little preview while we're waiting here. Once we have this code set up to where we can spawn cows wherever we want, we can change our cow so that it's actually not a cow. We can make it any Minecraft entity. And the other thing that we can do is we can change where it appears. So in order to actually make the TNT Rainmaker, we're going to make it actually summon TNT like up in the sky, so the TNT can actually fall down on you. And we are going to be getting to that in a bit, but of course I do have to actually load my Minecraft first. So let's just hop right into the EPWEP zone. It's a little world I got going for this live stream. And we'll just give it a minute to load. So, so I already talked about the TNT Rainmaker, which is going to make TNT fall from the sky. And alright, so here we got this world loaded up. So let me switch over to Mjolnir, and let's start summoning some cows. I'm going to let my game load for a minute so it's not too laggy for you guys. Actually, hang on, let me open up this window here so you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to be keeping my Minecraft windowed like this so that it is a little bit smoother. And if I forget to make it bigger like this, try to let me know, because I want you guys to be able to see my game. So, when I right click, I spawn these 10 cows in one spot. And as you can see, when I spawn the cows, they all kind of appear right on top of each other. And then when you have 10 cows in the exact same spot, they end up kind of all pushing each other. So that's why after just a second, they end up kind of like erupting. They have this like cow burst. So the next thing that I actually want to do to our code is I just want to add a little bit of randomness to the position of our cows so that they don't all appear right in the same spot. I want to make it so that they'll kind of be spread out. So let me just X out of Minecraft here. And in order to add that kind of randomness, we can use our random number generator. So that's this code that we already have written, and we have this variable named rand, which can make random numbers for us. So if we come down to our cow code, this right here is the new cow. So every time we make a new cow, we make that cow with this line, and then we tell that cow its position with this line. So every cow right now has the exact same position. It has the same X, Y, and Z. So if I want my cow to have a little bit of randomness in their position, I just want to add a random number to the X, and I also want to add a random number to the Z. I don't want to randomize the Y because the Y will move them up and down, but the X and the Z will move them side to side and like forward and backward. So this is where I want my randomness to be. So I can actually just do that just by coming right on in here and adding with a plus sign. So let me just add some number to my block_hit.x, and I want to use a random number, so I'm going to use my random number generator named rand. And there is a kind of fancy type of random number that I want to use for this, and it's called a Gaussian random number. If you, I talk about this in Create a Creature, but this rand.next Gaussian, it'll just pick a random number, but the random number is usually pretty close to 0. So it might be like 0.2 or maybe like negative 0.2, but it'll be kind of close to there. So all of our new cows will end up kind of in the same spot, but the positions will just be all a little bit different. And I'm going to do the same thing for my block hit Z as well. So another next Gaussian right here. And there's one other little change I want to make because I want to kind of increase the spread of randomness. So I'm actually just going to multiply a number right here. This is just going to make our randomness a little bit more. So now that I added these random numbers to the position of our cow, every cow we make will have a randomized position, so they'll all kind of just like appear all over the place. Now, before I run this, since it's loading kind of slow, I want to make one more change before I run this, because I also want my cows to start high up in the air, and we can move our cows up by adding a number to their Y. So if we want all the cows to just be a little bit higher when we make them, we can just pick a number to add here. I think I'm just going to add 10 to the Y of my cows, and again, that's just going to make it so that they spawn in the air. So now I'm going to actually run my game so that we can get this loaded, and we'll see what happens. Let me check back over here. Oh yes, that is definitely a piano behind me. This right here. This is my piano. I'm not a very amazing pianist, but I did take lessons. I actually took a piano class in college, but I have a lot more experience playing guitar. I've actually been playing guitar since, oh, excuse me. I've been playing guitar since I was a very, very small youngin'. Actually, I have a electric right next to me right now. Oh, that's heavy though, I'm putting that down. I do not think that you want me to play piano for you right now. That would not go too well. Alright, let me load up the FWeb zone. That would be kind of cool though if I could get it hooked up with the live stream and everything. Oops. Alright. So, just to give you guys a little bit of a preview of what we're doing here, we just made it so that the cows are going to fall down from the sky, so it will actually rain cows. Oh man, every time I try to start talking about what we're going to do, that's when it decides to finish loading. So let me stretch this out here, and let's make some more cows. So first of all, I'm just going to go away from all my other cows so we can see this a little bit better. And now let's let this world actually load, because I do want you to actually see what I'm doing, not just a bunch of lag. So, alright, now I'm going to start right-clicking and making cows, And as you can see, when I spawn these cows, they all spawn in the air above where I click and then fall down since, you know, Minecraft already has gravity built in. So, now that we have these cows falling from the sky, that means that we can pretty much just change these cows into TNT and we'll have a TNT Rainmaker. But before we do that, I actually kind of want to hop around here. I want to show you a couple different things that we can do in our code, and there's one other like little thing that I want to add before we actually blow stuff up. So we're gonna kind of switch gears a little bit here. The other thing that I want to do with our code is I want to make it so that you can actually change the block that you're looking at. So right now, I mean TNT, yes. I could just do TNT. I should probably do the TNT first. Now that I'm saying it, I'm like, why would I make you wait for the TNT? So you know what? We're gonna make some TNT. And here's how we can actually do it. So right here, we have this one line where we say entity cow, new cow equals new entity cow. This is the line that makes our new cow. And again, since this is inside of a for loop, it happens 10 times. So that's why we get 10 new cows. But if we want this thing, if we want new cow to be something that's not a cow, we can control that by changing this over here. So right here where it says entity cow, this controls the type of our new cow variable. So even though it's called new cow, it doesn't actually have to be a cow. So if I just backspace entity cow, we can make this some other type of entity. And there's another trick I want to show you. If I press Control Space right here, this will bring up a list of all the entities in Minecraft. So whenever you press Control Space, it'll bring up a list trying to like fill in what comes next. And this will give us the list of all Minecraft entities. So we can actually just pick entity TNT primed right here off of this list. So I'm gonna double click that. And we're also going to have to change this because this one also says entity cow. So this one will also need to say entity TNT primed. Oh, to answer your question, TNT is actually not an entity, but TNT primed is an entity. So right now, every new cow will not be a cow anymore. It'll be a TNT. So I'm gonna run this so I can actually just get it loading here. But yeah, so TNT, the block is just a block and it's not an entity, but as soon as you light the TNT, it turns into TNT primed, and TNT primed is an entity. So when we spawn a TNT entity, that entity will explode in a couple of seconds. I don't actually know how fast TNT explodes, but whatever length of time it'll be lit for before it explodes, that's what we should see right here in my game. So let's just give this a minute to load up. I'll browse my chat here a little bit. I've actually been looking at the chat a lot more than I thought I was going to be able to. Since we have all of this time to load, I kind of have some downtime here. My kitty Tomago is just asleep next to me now. So, all right. So while we're loading, once I actually run this game and we do this stuff, we're going to be dropping the TNT. And that's going to do it for the TNT Rainmaker. I mean, we already had Cow Rain, so now we basically have TNT Rain. And the other thing I want to do is the World Breaker. And what that's actually going to do is it's just going to change the block that you're looking at, or at least that's how we're going to start it out. We're going to make it so that you can just like aim at a block and click it and transform that block into some other block. So that'll be coming up after this test. But now let's drop some TNT. So I'm just gonna fly up here, and I feel kind of bad for these rain cows, but I'm gonna do it. Before I do it, I'm gonna time set day just so that we can all see my game. And let me remember to stretch this out here too. I really wish I could make it just always load at this size, but alas. All right, so let's drop a TNT rain. I'm gonna right click now. And there is the primed TNT. And now we're gonna start getting into some lag that we really should be getting some lag for all of this TNT. And here, I'll do another one over here. But I also want to do one with like a whole bunch of TNT. So don't you worry about that. I'm gonna back up a little bit and kind of just throw a bunch. I'm just gonna try to sweep it across this island. So we're just gonna get a whole line like that. The other awesome thing about primed TNT is that when it explodes, it launches the other primed TNT. So like if you just drop a bunch of TNT like this, then the first explosion will knock back all of the other TNT. So all of the TNT will just go flying. This is like, the TNT just makes this code so much fun to play with. I love doing this. Anyway, I am going to be done just blowing stuff up right now because I do want to show you the world breaker. So let me head back to my actual code and we'll set this up. So, all right, hang on. I need to like take a break here. There's the TNT Rainmaker. I need to like transition here into the world breaker. So the world breaker is gonna be a little different. I want to do the thing where you look at a block and you transform that block. So let's actually just start out by doing that code. You thought I was taking a break instead of... I can't take a break instead of talking. I'm the only person talking here. So here is what we're gonna do. I'm pulling up my example code to make sure I don't type it wrong. So now that we just dropped all that TNT, I want to make it so that we can figure out the block that we looked at using this block hit variable, and I want to transform that block into some other block. So in order to do that, I'm just going to come right on down, right under all of that cow spawning code, because this doesn't really have anything to do with our cow spawning. And by cow, of course, I mean TNT. And in order to change a block, here's what we can actually do. We're gonna do something to our world in, and this is gonna be a function called world in dot set block state. So let me just double click this right here. So world in dot set block state lets us basically just pick a block and change that block into whatever block we want. All we have to do is say the position of the block that we want to make and this state, which will tell us the block that we actually want to make. So for the position, we want to use the position of our block hit, which is just the block that we're looking at, which is the same thing that we did for the cows. So that is actually just going to be block hit.x, block hit.y, and block hit.z. Except, oh, I'm looking at my example code and I'm actually wrong here. We actually have to package all of this stuff. Oh goodness. We have to package all that stuff inside of a new block pause. This is just one of those things that that Minecraft is a little bit weird about. There's some spots where it asks for coordinates and it just wants you to give it an X, Y, and a Z. And there's other spots where it wants you to make a new block position for that. So we're gonna make a new block position. And I don't know if you saw, but I also just hovered over an imported block position just to make sure that our computer knows what that is. So now inside these parentheses, we're just gonna do another block hit.x, block hit.y, block hit.z. Okay, so now I actually give it where I want this new block to be. And so in this spot, we can say the actual block that we want to make. And here's how we can do that. We can write blocks with a capital B and then a dot. And then when I write that dot, that will pull up the list of all of the blocks in the game, which you actually can't see right now. But if I scoot my own head over a little bit, if I write blocks dot, we can pick a block off of this list, and the block that I want to spawn, I mean, it actually doesn't really matter which block. I'm just gonna pick one for now. We're gonna spawn a lime shulker box. Here, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just scroll my code a little bit. I'm just gonna make a bunch of space here to move this code up, just so that you can actually see it, so that I can have my head in the right spot. Okay, sorry about that. I'm still trying to work on this one really long line, and there is still one little thing I have to change, because now that I wrote the name of the block that I'm trying to make, we also just need a dot get default state. Now, this is just another kind of silly thing that Minecraft does. We need to get the default state of the block that we're trying to make so that it can actually make it. So when I run this code, we should now actually be creating a lime shulker box, or of course, you know, whatever block you type right here. at the spot that I'm looking at with my Thunderhammer. So I am going to run this again. And of course, we're just going to have to let that load for a little while. So let me come back over here and check my live chat. Everybody, ooh, there's like a lot of chat now. Yeah, everybody, make sure you subscribe to CodeKid, coolest channel on the net. No, oh no, it used to be cool until I just called it the coolest channel on the net. Now, that's all right though. We're still hacking. There you go. I was worried that my cat would just be walking in front the entire time, but she's just totally asleep now, so we are all good. Don't worry, I'm gonna give you a good cat shot at the end of the course, but I don't want to mess with my camera anymore right now. All right, let's get this loaded up. Man, this makes me so happy to see all the chat. It's just really cool to know that all of you guys are actually like doing the courses. It's kind of crazy because like Austin and I, we spend so much time actually making the courses that it almost like it feels like we spend so much more time making courses than like actually like teaching and talking to people, you know what I mean? So it's really, really cool to actually be able to talk to you guys and kind of like see what's going on. All right, so now that I'm loaded, I am going to be spawning a lime shulker box. But when I do that, it's also going to drop a bunch of TNT. So we're going to have to be quick if we want to see the lime shulker box. So when I right click here, we're going to spawn a block. But the block isn't in the exact right location. You might notice that my block actually appears on top of the block that we spawn it in. Or on top of the block that I clicked on, rather. And that's actually kind of the same thing that happens with the cows and the TNT. It actually, when we use that look trace thingy, it actually just gives us the position right on top of this block that we're looking at. So if we wanted our block to spawn one block lower, we could actually just subtract 1. We could actually just minus 1 from the Y. Now, I kind of, if my Minecraft was loading a lot faster, then I would want to just make that change and show you. But it's kind of not super duper fun just to sink it into the ground. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to go back into the code now. Actually, what am I talking about? I have so much time right now. We're totally going to do that. So this is actually, I really love doing this. This is a really cool thing. So this line right here, where we say worldin.setBlockState, this is the line that makes that line shulker box, and these are the coordinates that we make the box at. So if we want to change where our block spawns, we can just change these 3 numbers. So like if I want my block to spawn up in the air, I could just add some number here. But since I actually just want my block to be 1 block lower, I'm actually just gonna minus 1. And I'm actually just gonna save this and run it right away to show you what that'll do. But this will just make it so that every time I right click and I summon that lime shulker box, it's just going to move down 1, so it'll actually take up the spot of the block you were looking at. So the reason that we're actually doing this, the reason we're messing around with this block setting code, is because air is a block in Minecraft. So if we can set any block we want to lime shulker box, then that also means we can set those blocks to air, which is kind of just like destroying our entire world. And to take it one step further, once we set all of those blocks to air, there's going to be room in there to fill it with more primed TNT. So that is what's going to be in store. I do have a whole lot of TNT planned for you guys, but of course we are going to have to test this out first. So let me come back on over here to my chat. Creeper that pushes you back instead of exploding. That's a really interesting mod idea. I think we could probably do that. We would just have to kind of like take the creeper code and do something kind of similar to what I'm doing right now, where we kind of just open the creeper and mess with it a little bit. But Minecraft is kind of set up to where it doesn't let you change like the actual like Minecraft files. So I don't think we could actually change the creeper, but we could make a new type of creature that is basically just the creeper, but it pushes you back. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Now that I'm in the game, let me summon some lime shulker boxes. So when I right click, you can see that now the block that I'm looking at transforms into the shulker box. And of course, we are still getting all of this TNT falling down, but I do kind of like the TNT falling down. We're going to leave that for a little while. So now that we're transforming this block into lime shulker box, the next thing I want to do is make it so that instead of just transforming one block, we transform a whole bunch of blocks. I actually want to transform all the blocks all the way down to the bottom of the world. So, in order to make that happen, I want to basically just run this one line a whole bunch of times, right? Because instead of just setting one block to be lime shulker box, I want to set this block and this one and this one and this one all the way down to bedrock, all the way down to the bottom of the world. So if I want to run this one line a whole bunch of times, I can do that by using a for loop, which is, we have a for loop right up here. And I'm just going to write another one right over here. So if you've never seen a for loop in code before, this basically just lets us run a certain piece of code a whole bunch of times. So let me just get this set up here. If I say int I is less than 100, or I could make my variable called number just to make it the same as our other for loop up here. That might make it a little bit easier for you guys to read. Okay, let me just get this typed out here. And let me also put some curly brackets at the end. So I'll put one curly bracket here, and then I'll put the closing curly bracket down here. So that way, this line where we make our block is inside of that for loop. So now, with just this code, this line will run 100 times, since my number starts at 0 and it counts up to 100, and it goes up by 1 each time. That's what this for loop is doing. So now I run this one line 100 times, but we won't actually really be able to see 100 lime shulker boxes. And the reason for that is because every time we make a new box, it's in the exact same place. They all share these coordinates. So even though we're actually making 100 boxes, every time we make a box, it just covers up the other box. So they're all in the same place. But now that we made this for loop, we have this new variable that we can use in here called number, and number is going to start at 0, but then every time we do this code, number is going to go up by 1. So here's where it gets a little bit tricky. If I come on over here to the Y position of our lime shulker box, and instead of doing a -1, I do a minus number. So this way, the first time we make a lime shulker box, number will be 0 and its Y will be normal. It'll just be whatever block we're looking at. But then number will be 1, so it'll be 1 block lower, and then number will be 2, so it'll be 1 block lower. And this way, we will actually just get like a big pillar of lime shulker boxes all the way down to the bottom. So I just hit my run button, so we're gonna let this load for just a little while. You can actually increase the font size in Eclipse, and now that I was trying to get it so that everything could show up on the screen, but it looks like I do have a little bit of room here. So while we're waiting, I can try to make it a little bit bigger. I just wanted to make sure nothing was hanging off the side of the screen. So let me just edit this. And it's at 12 point right now. So if I just bump it up to 14, well, this is, I guess it's just a teeny bit hanging off here, but I think this is probably good enough. So I'll leave it at 14. And let me get back to my Minecraft here. And I'll try to do a little, I'll try to also just scroll through all of the code that I wrote just at the end, just to make sure that if you do actually want to copy it down, you can actually have it up on your screen. So now here we are in the epwep zone, and I just added that code so that I'll spawn a whole bunch of shulker boxes. And let me actually do this like against the water so that we can actually see it happen. So like if I cast it right here, you can see that now we're getting a bunch of shulker boxes. You can't really see all the way down, and ooh, that TNT comes and explodes it. But now that the TNT made that explosion, you can see that we got some shulker boxes down here. Actually, another way that we could test this would be if I just like build something up kind of like this and out. Oh, oops, there's a tree here. Oh, I could have just used this tree. Let me just use the top of this tree. And as you can see, when I cast my Thunder Hammer, it now makes shulker boxes in a straight line all the way down. So I am pretty excited about this because now that we're making these shulker boxes, we can actually just make it air and kind of just tear apart our whole entire world. So let me get back to my code here. And before I forget, I'm going to make it so that we're not dropping TNT anymore. Also, so that we can actually test out the world-breaking kind of stuff. So I'm just going to come on up to the TNT code here. And remember, our TNT is actually named New Cow, and this is the line that spawns all of that TNT. So I'm just going to comment this line so that we're not going to have any more TNT just kind of randomly falling down. And now, the other change that I want to make is instead of spawning a lime shulker box, I just want to spawn air. So let me just backspace that. And we'll add some air, and hey, now this line is shorter, so you can actually see the whole thing. So double bonus. Let me just save this and run it. I don't know why that's coming up. What? I've never seen this menu before. We're just gonna pretend like it's working normal, because I'm pretty sure it is. Oh, you're right, I forgot to make that Minecraft window bigger. This one is gonna be bigger. I need to figure out a way to make it actually just appear at the right size. But alas, that is a challenge for another day. So, is my Minecraft not loading here? I'm gonna open my console. It looks like it's running. It's just going kind of slow. We're all good here. Let me make sure to check my live chat. Good. Big shout out to Austin for managing the chat. Definitely could not be doing this on my own. Oh, that's true. I could just hit this, and that would just make it full screen. I was just kind of trying to not block anything with my head. But, yeah, if this is nicer, I'll just leave it big. Just as long as it's not getting too laggy. If you're... Like, if the game starts lagging more than usual, then you gotta let me know, and I'll put it back to small size. But I think this should be the same as it was before. How do I look at chat without showing you? I actually have two monitors. So you guys can only see this monitor, but I have a different one right here. And that's where I have the chat open, I have my obs open so I can move around my head. You got all the cool stuff. This window has a lot more stuff open, because this one I just am trying to keep it clean and just only show Eclipse in Minecraft. All right, here we are in the epwep zone, and we shouldn't see a huge change. All I did was make it so that we're not going to drop any more TNT, so we shouldn't get any random TNT. And when I cast the Thunder Hammer, oh gosh, it's lagging. I'm going to wait a second to cast this. All right. When I cast my Thunder Hammer, instead of making shulker boxes, we are now setting this land to air. And the really fun thing is you can actually see all the way down when you do this. You can even see it like deleting those blocks as it goes down. And another kind of fun thing that you can do is if you want to be mean to some of your mobs, you can actually spleef. It's kind of like playing a spleef map, but it's single player, I guess. But this is the first part of the world breaker. And oh, the other fun thing that I definitely want to do is jump in this hole. So let me drop here. And one thing that I find really interesting about the World Breaker code is that it actually sets the bedrock itself to air. So this actually just lets you break right out of the bottom of the world. And if you just fall here, you can actually just you know, die from falling. I don't really want to do that right now because I don't want to drop my epic weapons. But now that we have this code set up, we are able to break our world. But the thing about the World Breaker is that it doesn't actually use any explosions to do what it's doing, right? It just, it kind of does like the result of the explosion without the actual explosion part. So, since I want this code to have as many explosions in it as possible, the last thing that I want to show you how to do with this epic weapon code is make it so that every time we set a block to air, we also spawn a primed TNT in that spot. So let's head back over to the code here, and I'm actually just gonna copy my my other code, my new cow code, because we already have this code that spawns TNT where we want it. So we are going to need to make sure that our code goes inside of an if statement that says if not world in is remote, but I don't want to add another for loop. So I could just copy this whole thing and backspace some stuff, but instead of doing that, I'm just going to make some space inside of this for loop. So right down here now, every time I make a new air block, I'm just gonna also, and here I'm just gonna add that one little if not world in dot is remote. Again, this is just kind of one of those silly Minecraft things that you have to do to spawn an entity. If you, we're gonna ignore that. What? Don't install extensions. I clicked something on accident, it doesn't matter. Oh, now it's not gonna let me type. Come on, Eclipse, I don't want any extensions right now. Oh, here's the stop button, there we go. Thank you. All right, let me press enter right here. That'll make this closing curly bracket. Oh yeah, I was talking about this. If you spawn an entity without making this code, it's actually just kind of glitchy. It actually just spawns like two entities at the same time. So that's the only reason we have this in here. But now that we have this spot, I do actually just want to copy this cow spawning code. So let me just Control C to copy. Then inside of this if statement, I'll Control V to paste. And I also want to make sure to uncomment this line that actually spawns the TNT cow. And that should be, oh, there is one other thing that I have to change, because now I make a new entity TNT primed, and its name is new cow, and then I set the position of this TNT, but the position is still where it was for the rain, so it's actually just 10 blocks above whatever block we hit. So I'm just gonna come in here and first of all, let's actually just delete our random numbers. I don't really want these to be random if it's just a big line of TNT. So we'll get rid of that random and we'll get rid of this random. And then instead of making it so that every piece of TNT is 10 blocks above the block that we're looking at, let's just make it so that we do the same thing we do for our air blocks. We're going to use the number from our for loop so that we can basically say, like, put one TNT here, then one TNT here, and one here, so that they actually go line up all the way down. So instead of a plus 10 here, we're going to use a minus number. And with just this code, my Thunder Hammer should make a line of TNT all the way down to the bottom of the world. And since that bedrock gets set to air, we're probably gonna get a couple TNTs that kind of just fall into the void, just under the whole world. But we should also get a whole bunch of TNT primes, a whole bunch of TNTs that just stay in that kind of pillar, and it should explode our world in a very cool way. So let me check on my live stream chat. Yeah, if you even in creative mode, Austin already said this in chat, but if you just go really far down, it'll just kill you anyway. It's actually, I think it's the only way that you can die in creative mode. I could be wrong on that. Well, actually no, because you can also just kill yourself with a command. So it's definitely not the only way. But let's get this open here. Let's hop into the EPWEP zone. And let's do the stuff. Trains are awesome. Oh yes, yes, yes. No, I'm thirsty. I'm out of tea. I have a tea next to me, but it's empty. All right. So here we are. Let me hang on. Let me just let this reload here. I'm not gonna jump the gun on this one. I want you guys to see all of the action, and I'm full size, so I already remembered this time. So I'm just waiting for everything to load here. So when I cast my Thunderhammer, we should still be able to see that big, just the pit down to the bottom of the earth, but this time it should be filled with TNT. So let me just cast this. I'm just gonna cast it on top of a tree and hollow out this tree. So, and there we go. There is the TNT line. And there is the explosion, and that is how you break a world. Now, the kind of funny thing about about adding the TNT is that now we actually can't see all the way to the bottom of the world because there's this lava here, because the TNT like exploded some stuff that let the lava fall into that spot. But this is still a tool for a lot more destruction. And the cool thing is, if we hold down the button, it'll just do a whole bunch of them. So I want to do a couple smaller ones. I want to cast it just like once a couple of times before I make it huge. Also, let me make sure to time set day, just so that we can get back to the daylight. All right. This is my favorite thing about Minecraft modding, is just the fact that you can take any mod you want and just go like, what if I add TNT to this though? Maybe I can put some TNT in here. And on that one, I did like 2 of them next to each other, and it like launched this TNT up. Hang on, I'm gonna do another one of those. If I do 2 of them like kind of next to each other, then this TNT should knock this TNT back. Oh god, it's so laggy. I think if I wasn't live streaming, actually, I would probably be seeing this stuff a lot cleaner. But they're really cool. It's just really fun to just go around and blow stuff up. And also, I guess since it's a little bit laggy, I guess kind of the really cool part is just being able to see this really big pit all the way down to the bottom. I love just being able to clear out a tunnel like this. We could also, if we were trying to just set these blocks to air, if we were trying to not use any TNT, we could actually set that up with more for loops. So, like, instead of just saying 1 block here, 1 block here, 1 block here, we could just say like 3 air blocks here, then move down a Y, 3 air blocks here. But that would kind of get into some more fancy code that I don't really want to bust open today. Really, the only other thing I want to do today is like a very huge world breaker test. I want to destroy like a very huge section of my world. So let me just fly somewhere else to get kind of a nicer test for this. I'm actually going to just teleport myself. Let me just do a good old classic TP at P here. Sometimes I just like to teleport 9,999 blocks away. And oh well, okay, so now I'm inside a block, so let me try to break out here. Alright, there we go. So now we're over here in this kind of snowy zone. This seems like a perfect spot for the final world breaker test. So let's come on over here. I'm just gonna let my world load a little bit so that it's ready to go. And alright, let's blow this thing up. So I'm just gonna try to fill this whole area with kind of as many as I can before they all start exploding. So let me start my right click now, and we'll just fill it up. And now let's just see how laggy it gets. You can take bets on on how long it'll take before my computer is acting normal again. Oh, and you can see it's just trying so hard to figure out where all the destruction should go. And oh my gosh, we can just come here and see all the way down to the bottom. So I think that the World Breaker code is a success. So that is about it for the stuff that I wanted to show off in this stream. So I guess really, unless I'm forgetting something, the only really important thing I want to do is go back to my code so that you can actually write it down if you want to. So, actually, before I do that, there's one more thing, because I want to see the bottom of this pit, just because I just made this awesome explosion zone. It's kind of cool also to see the spots where the bedrock is missing, so you can see like how many times I actually casted it compared to how many blocks just got destroyed by TNT. So anyway, I think that will about do it. Let me just close out of here and get back to my code. I'll click here so that you can actually see it. And I think that's about it. I can take questions for a couple minutes if anybody has anything that they super burningly want to ask. But other than that, let me just line this up. See, since I zoomed in on the text here, it's a little bit taller than my actual page. So let me actually just erase some of this white space, and that'll make it a bit easier as well. Did I just break something? No. Okay. We're good. On this keyboard, I hit enter on accident a whole lot. All right, well, I guess actually the only code that I changed was inside the on item right click method. So just from here to here is actually the only thing that I did in this video. And you might have noticed that I actually didn't write a lot of code in this video. I mean, I definitely typed out some stuff, but I think like about half of the stuff that I actually made was just from copying other code. And that's a really cool thing about code, is that, you know, once it works, and you should be able to use it in other places. And thank you so much for reminding me, Jamie, because I do 100% have to show off my cat again. So I think it's a good time for that. Let me grab my camera here. She's totally asleep now. I have this box right next to my desk with this cute little blanket, and she's just curled up right now. I'll try to get a little face shot in there. I was kind of nervous that she would be running around. It's happened a couple times at my house where she's actually slammed into the power strip that powers my router. So she's actually knocked out my internet a couple of times while I'm like playing an online game. So I was really nervous that she was gonna knock out my internet for this live stream, and I'm really glad that she's been sleeping. I know, man, it's the worst when you're in the middle of a game and the Tamago just knocks out your Wi-Fi. I was playing what was it? I was playing Little Big Snake. I don't. That's a really random little fact, but I was playing Little Big Snake and Tamago just knocked out my internet. It was really sad. But anyway, I think that should about do it. I think I am about ready to call it for this live stream. So, anyway. Okay, hang on. Oh, I'm not ready to end the live stream. I have to like compose myself. I have to give you guys a good like outro here. So, thank you guys all so much for watching, and make sure that you subscribe to CodaKid, because we're going to be coming out with videos and live streams just like this, and we make some really awesome stuff. And so make sure you subscribe to the CodaKid YouTube channel, and even more important than that, check out CodaKid.com, because we have a bunch of really awesome tutorials on, like I said earlier, programming, making games, making mods, all of that awesome stuff. And I think that will about do it. Oh yeah, there's a link in the description for a 2-week free trial for CodaKid. I'm supposed to mention that. Definitely cash in on your 2-week free trial. We have some very awesome stuff in there. So with that, I think we're gonna call it. It's awesome to talk to all you guys, and I will see all of you in the next video. So